Welcome, welcome. Welcome to I Am Success with Tralena Shayron. Welcome. I need to first tell you to like. I need to tell you to subscribe. I need to tell you to hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when I post a video. I also want to invite you to comment. I want you to engage with this video as much as you can. Let me get my focus right. Okay, I'm right on. I invite you to engage with this video. I want you to talk to me. I want you to, um, let me know what you thought. If there's anything in here that was interesting, I want you to comment about that because that's good for me. Okay. But welcome to I Am Success with Tralena Shayron. Let me first begin by qualifying success. I think that that's so important. You need to know what it is that we're talking about here, right? So, I Am Success, this channel is about personal success, right? So, it's not the success that's been defined by culture or defined by whomever. It's not about how much money you make. It's not about the accolades that you have achieved. It's not about whether you're married or not. It's not about whatever other people would suggest success is. It's not about any of that. It is about success is truly about you. It's the act of you doing the thing that God created you to do in the earth in this season. So it has to do with assignments, right? If God is giving you an assignment, how do you walk that out and how do you do it the way that God told you to do it? How are you successful at that, right? Because if I'm honest, the only way you can be fulfilled in life is if you're doing the thing that God created you to do. So that's what we're talking about here at I Am Success with Tralena Shayron. And so I hope that anything that I say, any video that I post, I hope that it adds value to you. It had, many of the things that we'll talk about will come from personal experiences. I'm going to start off by doing story time with you all. Just tell your personal story and then pull out some nuggets, right? That might be helpful. Okay. Because I think that these are things that will be helpful to a lot of people and we need to know. So let me also say this before I get into my story. I'm a believer in Christ. So anything that I talk about, right, is from a biblical worldview. Anybody can watch this channel. If you believe that there are nuggets that are helpful to you and you're not a believer, fine, do that. But my hope is that through this content you'll also be blessed, that you will also receive something spiritually, right? Because I'm always going to bring Christ into it. I live my life. I'm kingdom, right? So everything I do is about kingdom. I'm not here to talk too much about what kingdom is at the moment. Maybe that's a different video. But I just want to give you this story time, and this has everything to do with this personal success that I'm talking about, right? So I remember when pause. Now, get used to that. Because I pause often. I pause and then I, go somewhere and then I come back. Okay. So, real quick, I want to share this with you. And it might show up the opposite way. But Becoming Kingdom, I wrote this book and released it at the top of 2024. I released this book at the top of 2024. It is a journey to true identity. I'll try to link in the comments, or I'm sorry, the description, how you can purchase this book. But it's a journey to true identity, and what it is it is my my personal story is in the backdrop of this book, but it's really pointing people to Christ, right? It's pointing people to kingdom is what it's doing. Okay. And so some of the story that I'm going to talk about today is in this book. And so I encourage you to go grab Becoming Kingdom. It may be backwards, but I'll try to link, how you can get that book. Because it's a very good read. Not just because I wrote it, but it's really been inspired by Holy Spirit to come out the way that it did. And so I encourage you to pick up the book. But listen, so story time. Okay, so back in 2020, right? We know 2020 was the year where the pandemic broke out, in some places maybe late 2019, but full blown pandemic came in 2020. But at the top of the year, we hadn't quite gotten into that yet. Things weren't shut down around the world quite yet. And I remember coming into the year and I felt like, well, naturally, it seemed as if everything I wanted, I had, right? I was in a great relationship. My career was great. I was doing great in my career. I was working for an IT company. I was making really great money. I was a senior manager there, doing some really great things. I lived in a nice home, drove a nice car, all of the things that, I thought I probably wanted by that time in my life. I was 35. I turned 35 in December of that year. And um, yeah, and so I came into the year, and on the outside looking in, you would think that I was just living a really great life. I was involved in my church. I was involved in ministry in my church, and things were just, they just seemed well. But internally, I was not well. I was not doing well. I felt like I was so unfulfilled. I was so unfulfilled, I had spent a lot of time working hard to get to the place that I was. I think I had, and you know how we have this dream of what our life will look like. And I'm not saying that I had all of that. Like, it wasn't perfect, right? But for the most part, it wasn't bad. And so, um, anybody would say like, okay, things are doing good, are going well. And so I remember not understanding why I felt so unfulfilled in life. So I started something into the Lord in 2020. In 2020, um, I really, really pressed into the Lord. It's so interesting how that same year was the year of the pandemic and everything was shut down, because I feel like that helped me to really stay in the presence of God and not be able to, venture out into other things, right? Because we can have moments, but because we have so many other things at our disposal, to, I don't know, fill whatever voids we may be feeling. Sometimes it's easy not to face or deal with our stuff. So I feel like, because it was mid-pandemic and there wasn't a lot of interaction with a lot of people, or you couldn't go to a lot of places, it helps me to kind of stay in that place with the Lord, because it would be on my mind. And so I had no choice but to pray and really lean in. And so at the time, although while I was, active in ministry, I don't know that, well, I know that my relationship with God wasn't as intimate as it is today. And so I didn't really know what it looked like to spend a lot of intimate time with the Lord. But at this time, I started to do that. I started to journal, journaling at the top of started to journal at the top of that year, and it was just something that was amazing. What ended up happening over the course of that year, um, without going into all of the super details, but what ended up happening over the course of that year is I realized that I hadn't completely accepted the love of God for me, and therefore I hadn't really. Let me back up. I had not really leaned in to know God fully, because I hadn't gotten as intimate with Him as I needed to. So, as a result of getting intimate with Him, it allowed me to accept this love that I hadn't quite tapped into. And so then, once I accepted this love that He was giving me, right, so beautifully, I was able to really accept myself. And so God started to reveal some desires deep down, within my heart. They were His desires to do other things. So I remember mid 2020, I started to build this website. So mind you, I'm corporate America girl. Okay, I go to work every day. At the time, I was going to work every day. I worked for an IT company. I was a organizational excellence manager, and so that meant a lot of things. Because actually, when I went to when I went to this company, I wrote the job description. They wanted to hire me so bad, and did not really have a position that really fit my skill set, but they needed my skill set. So I was able to write that position. And so I did a lot of things with quality. I did a lot of things with process improvement. I did a lot of things with management development. And so anyway, I went to work I went to work every day. I was really good at my job. I communicated with people. I was good at, process. I was good at quality improvement and all the things. But I started to build this website. So I had this desire to create what I would call a hub at the time for people to tap in to get resources. It just started to kind of bubble up in me. And so I started to develop this website, and I can't remember. I do. It was called Lord Use Me Movement. That's the title that I gave it at the time. And I just started to really work on this, and I had a deep desire for it. But what also was happening was I started to not really have a desire for the work that I was doing. Now, let me be clear. I did love my job. I love what I did. I love the people that I worked with in terms of the teams that reported to me and the people that I was able to just develop, relationships with and things like that. What I did not like was I didn't like corporate politics. I did not like, some of the hierarchies. I mean, anybody who has ever been in corporate America, you know what I mean. There's a lot of politics that goes into that. And so once you get to a certain point in your career, it's less about me being able to implement my ideas or really get into having a lot of the kind of influence I think I wanted to have. And it becomes more about navigating the politics, who do you know? And it's just a lot. Okay. So anyway, I started to have less of a desire for that, like to the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, I can't wait to leave. And I had this understanding that there would come a time where I would walk away from corporate America. And at the time, prior to that, I had not considered that at all. I had not considered not being a corporate America girl. Like, that's just not what I didn't think that's what I was gonna do. Right? I always thought that I don't want to say always, but my desire at even a young age was to be a businesswoman, right? I think early on I wanted to be a lawyer, and I could actually still see myself doing that. But listen, but I think that desire came from some idea that I had in my head of what success looked like. So anyway, 2020 goes along, and throughout the course of the year, I start to have less of a desire to be in corporate America. I begin to tap into some other things that were down on the inside of me, and I began to pull them out. And so 2021 comes, and it's kind of that same thing. And what happens in 2021 is I end up leaving that job. Now, it was I went all the way through 2021 to December. When I actually left that job. But I didn't go right away into some of the things that I'm doing now. I ended up going into healthcare, right? Kind of doing similar things that I was doing at that job, but I didn't have reports. So I took a few steps down in what I would call authority in an organization, so that I wouldn't have direct reports. But I operated as a project manager in healthcare. With process improvement projects and stuff. And so I knew when I took that job that I would only be there for a short period of time, because it was like a stepping stone to what God was taking me to. And so over the course of that time, I continued to just lean into the Lord, and He began to reveal more and more and more to me. So the other thing that was happening at the same time is things in my spiritual community, if you will, was changing as well. God was calling me to different levels of leadership in the formal church realm, formal ministry, and so I started to make some changes in that. And by mid 2023, I quit my job. I had already launched a coaching business at the top of 23, and I had moved to a new ministry, and I was the director over the women's ministry. And at that point in my life, I knew that I knew that I knew that I had hit something. I knew that I knew that I knew that I was in the vein of where God ultimately would land me. And so, over from mid 23, I would say even the top of 23, all the way through now, right? So much clarity has come about what I actually was put in the earth to do. And so I'm still coaching, different type of coaching. I'm a success coach at this point. But still coaching. I write books. I release journals. I run, programs, run workshops. I've launched a ministry, a formal ministry. Here's the interesting part even about that is it's kind of like an apostolic hub. It's called the Thrive Network. Look it up. The Thrive Network on YouTube, the Thrive Network on Facebook, the Thrive Network on Instagram. Follow us and see the things that we're doing. But it's like a apostolic hub, if you will, where people can come and get resources. And so it is the manifestation of this thing that God had really put in me back in 2020. And in 2020, it hadn't come to full maturity in order for me to birth, right, until 2024. And so my whole point in even telling this story, right, this story time, it has to do with this idea of success. I had spent, and I have you got to get the book to know all of the details of the story. But even getting to the place the place where I was working in corporate America at this IT company, making really great money, the journey to that place was such an incredible journey. I'll say that. I call it incredible. It was really an incredible journey. I worked so hard to arrive at that place, thinking that when I got there, that would be success. And if I'm honest, I wanted to go further. There was a point where I really wanted to go further. I was moving on to become a director in that company. And so we know that just more titles come and more money comes. And, that's great for some people. But when I got to that place in 2020, and I realized how unhappy I was when I should have been content or happy with my life, I knew that there was something that had to change. And I also knew that I had to lean into the Lord to find out what that was. And so once I did, and God began to reveal to me what was really on the inside the whole time, it was like nothing else that I've ever felt. So I'll say this, as I have traveled this journey to even get to the place where personal success could begin, it was challenging. It was challenging because there's so many things that I had to unlearn and unpack and deal with and heal from. But the outcome of that is so rewarding like nothing else. I can't explain how now I am fulfillment. Like, I don't even know how to explain to you what fulfillment looks like when you're not doing the thing that God created you to do. This feeling that I have now, this knowing in my belly, knowing that you are pleasing the Lord because you are doing the thing that He created you to do. It is a feeling that I can't explain. It's pretty amazing. And it doesn't mean that, I don't have bad days or hard times, or I don't have emotional days or whatever, because life still happens, trauma still happens, and we navigate those things with the Lord and the communities that He has put us in to support us through those times. But fulfillment, true fulfillment and joy and even the blessings of the Lord I can walk in because I'm doing the thing that God created me to do and I'm moving in obedience. And um, so it speaks to this personal success that cannot be obtained when you are not doing what God created you to do. We often pick up the blueprint of someone else, right? Society, culture, our parents, um, you know, whatever our environment impresses upon us, we often pick that up and we walk out that blueprint. We walk out the steps that somebody else has given us to success, and then we call ourselves successful when we get the outcomes that we expect those that blueprint to produce. Because the blueprint works. It's not that the blueprint is bad. It just isn't yours. It's not the one for you. And so, you know, you produce the results that that blueprint is supposed to produce, and you think that fulfillment and happiness and joy will come. But here's why we find people who take paths where, you know, on the outside looking in, they look successful, but some people end up taking their lives, you know, which is an awful thing, you know, and some people just settle for, you know, mediocrity or to feel miserable or just the rat race, or they keep trying to attain another thing, or, you know, they got to make another dollar or whatever it is that they convince themselves they need to do in order to be fulfilled. But they're doing it without inviting the Lord in and saying, hey, God, I need to know what the blueprint is for my life, right? And so when we talk about this topic of personal success, when we're, you know, here, the times that we come here, and there's different things that we'll talk about. What we're talking about is this path that only comes from the Lord. Like, what you're not going to get from me is a blueprint. I'm not going to give you a blueprint, but I'm going to give you probably tools at times that will help you to stay with it, to keep going, to keep pushing forward. But I can't tell you, you know, what success looks like for you. I can't tell you the best way to achieve it. I don't know what step you need to take because that only comes from the Lord. There is a secret place that you have to get to with God. And I think that when you get to a place where you are sick and tired of living your life according to somebody else's blueprint and not being fulfilled, you're sick and tired of the rat race. You're sick and tired of subscribing to what culture suggests. You're sick and tired of subscribing to what your family tells you should be doing. You're sick and tired of sometimes not doing anything because you have given up, because you have no idea what you're supposed to do. Well, I'm gonna tell you, the first thing is you invite God to help you. God, you got to show me. And I guarantee you this, if you keep leaning in, because here's what I've learned about God. The Lord is not in the business of that kind of Amazon effect that we accustomed to, baby. Let me ask and then I receive immediately. I'm not saying that he can't answer quickly, because there are times that he will. But baby, you got to lean in. A lot of, especially if you've not had a level of intimacy with him in the past, if you haven't already created some kind of intimate relationship with the Lord, you might want to, you know, fine tune your ear. You got to get in your word. I mean, I got mine sitting right here. You got to get in your scriptures so you can even know what he sounds like when he talks. You know what I'm saying? So there may be some time, you know, that you need to spend doing that first. And because at the end of the day, the personal success plan or the blueprint that he gives you for your life is about bringing him glory. It's not really about you, right? We benefit, right? We benefit from the plan that he gives us. We benefit from this personal success, you know, this thing that he wants us to do. We benefit from it. But baby, it ain't about us. It's about bringing him glory. And so you gotta lean in, and you know, there may be some things you gotta learn so that you don't get a blueprint and take off and run with it without making sure that you're bringing him glory, because baby, he'll sit you down real quick. Okay. But but I'm telling you, success is personal. It's personal. It's personal. It has nothing to do with what anybody else has accomplished in their life. Now, I'm not saying you can't take tips and tools from folks. You can. But success is not about the amount of money you make. It's not about how many degrees you have. It's not about how many accolades you have. It's not about how many followers you have. It ain't about how many likes you have. It ain't about how many clicks you got. Okay? It's not about how many comments is on your posts. It's not about, whatever. It is about you doing the thing that God put you in the earth to do. And so, let me encourage you here, okay? Lean in to the Lord. Lean into the Lord. Lean into the Lord. If you find yourself at a place in your life where you're like, okay, I am tired. I am tired. I have done all of the things, and I'm not about to keep running around. Baby, at the time of this recording, it's the top of 2025. Where we at? I think it's the 19th, right, of January 2025. And so it's a good time for you to make some shifts, make some change, whatever you need to do. But my encouragement is that you should do it. It's never too late. It's never too late to get in alignment with what God has really created you to do. I mean, it is the best feeling ever. Ever. Now you gonna get some, folks that don't understand, and they may feel away because you're not doing things the way they want you to. But that's the goal, right? To not do the things the way they want you to. Find you a community, to get connected to, so that you can flourish in what God is giving you to do in the earth. And listen, experience that personal success, baby, because it's good. It's good. It feels so amazing. It feels amazing. I'm telling you, you will be the happiest that you've ever been. You will have a joy that comes from the Lord, right? Like no other. I'm telling you what I know. So I appreciate you stopping by here at I Am Success with Tralena Shayron. I hope that you will come back. Like I said at the top of the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I apologize because my camera is a little off, so I may have been looking off to the side. But listen, come back. There will be more videos that I'll be posting up. You may have visited my channel before, but it was something else before. I've hidden a lot of those videos. So listen, I am looking forward to this I Am Success journey with you. Okay. We gonna be successful at this thing that God has put us in the earth to do. All right. See you next time.